Good morning. We are here today to launch the Manufacturing Jobs for America initiative, a campaign to refocus Washington on manufacturing jobs by working in the Senate in a bipartisan way to build support for the good manufacturing legislation that both parties can agree on. We're here today, frankly, in part because we're fed up with what Washington has become and its inability to make progress on the #1 issue facing our communities and our country, creating good jobs. Congress has been distracted this year, I think we could all agree. There's still 11 million people unemployed, but we've spent the last month just trying to get the government open and prevent an even larger economic calamity. This cycle has to end. We have to spend more time focusing on manufacturing jobs than we do on manufactured crises. The fact is, not all jobs are created equal. Some jobs are better than others, and manufacturing jobs are better for our economy than jobs in any other sector. When you add up pay and benefits, workers in manufacturing get 22% more in compensation than other sectors. The average manufacturing job pays $75,000 a year in salary and benefits. Every new job in manufacturing creates an additional 1.6 jobs in the local service economy, and every dollar spent in manufacturing adds $1.34 to the local economy. Manufacturing jobs have a multiplying effect, and after 4 years of economic recovery, our country sure could use it. We know the jobs can come. They're already coming. After a decade of decline, manufacturers have created 500,000 new jobs in this country in just the last 3 years. But there's more we can and should do working together. Studies by the Manufacturing Institute and Deloitte estimate 600,000 jobs in manufacturing went unfilled last year because of a skills gap, a lack of appropriately skilled workers. So we're going to speak about what we could do together to deal with that challenge. Congress working together, in my view, can and should make a difference if we can break through the politics, get through the gridlock, and if we manage to work together. Miller Metal Fabrication in Delaware, which is from my home state, isn't giving up. Its founder, Marty Miller, gave me something which sits on my desk every single day and reminds me that made in America, manufactured in Delaware is not just a slogan. It's an approach, it's an attitude, it's a priority. Miller Metal has invested in new technology and highly skilled workers and has been able to win business back from competitors in China. We can and should fight and win for manufacturing. I'm not giving up on American manufacturing, and neither are these wonderful colleagues who've joined me here this morning. Before I came to the Senate, much of my work was at a manufacturing company, a materials-based science company that makes things. But there are others who have been leaders here in the Senate for long before I got here. Senator Stabenow is the co-chair of the Manufacturing Caucus. Senator Brown has been an unrelenting voice on manufacturing policy for years. Senator Pryor has contributed 6 bills to this initiative in financing, export, strategy, and skills. Senator Franken is deeply passionate about skills training and community colleges. Senators Warner and Reed and Donnelly have brought creative new ideas about skills development. Senator Shaheen has a number of bipartisan ideas, including some to boost exports. Senators Merkley and Schatz have ideas on energy efficiency and how they could help manufacturers. Senator Blumenthal has contributed an idea on capital formation. Senator Murphy on helping manufacturers be competitive. Senator Baldwin about leveling the playing field globally for American-made products. That's just the senators who are here with us this morning. There are 22 senators overall who've chosen to be a part of this agenda, and even more who've got good ideas we think should be considered. So today we're launching the Manufacturing Jobs for America campaign, a campaign within the Senate to build support for good manufacturing legislation that Democrats and Republicans can agree on. There's 40 policy ideas. Most of these bills have already been introduced. Half of those introduced have bipartisan co-sponsors. And we are going to be working actively together in the weeks ahead to refine them, to win more bipartisan sponsors, to encourage hearings by committees and subcommittees, and ultimately to demonstrate that these bills can pass the Senate. This campaign builds on, and was in part inspired by, the great work of the Democratic whip, Representative Steny Hoyer, and his Make It in America initiative in the House that several of the members here participated in when they were in the House. The bills in our campaign are organized generally around 4 big ideas. First, strengthening America's modern workforce, dealing with the skills gap. Second, fighting for a level global playing field. Third, making it easier for manufacturers to access capital and invest in R&D. And fourth, doing more to ensure a government-wide coordinated manufacturing strategy. This campaign is about refusing to accept it's impossible for Republicans and Democrats to agree on ideas that will help manufacturers grow jobs. In the coming weeks, we will continue to work tirelessly to improve these ideas, to win bipartisan co-sponsors, and to get a floor vote and demonstrate that in the Senate, we can help manufacture jobs in this country. I'm proud to stand with my colleagues and grateful for their ongoing leadership. I'd like to turn now to Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, the co-chair of the Manufacturing Caucus. Senator Stabenow.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Kuhn. Thank you for bringing us all together. I love the fact that we are talking about making things in America, and we have so many colleagues that have joined together to commit ourselves to moving forward on new advanced manufacturing. Let me stress one thing. We want to manufacture jobs, not see manufactured crises over and over and over again, which has been happening here. The turnaround in our economy is frankly because we've begun to see manufacturing growing again. It's coming back to America, and all of us are focused on making sure we have a strong middle class in America because we are making things in America. You know, I don't think that we actually have an economy or a middle class unless we make things and grow things. And as chair of the Ag Committee, I can tell you I'm pleased to be in the conference committee now to get the Farm Bill done so we can focus on growing things. This agenda is reinforcing the fact that we have got to double down on making things in America. So when we're looking at the Manufacturing Jobs for America initiative, it really is a vision for how we do that. Traditional manufacturing, of course. I want everybody here to be driving a great American-made automobile. But when we look at alternative energy, when we look at the fact that there are 8,000 parts in a big wind turbine, 8,000 parts, we can make every single one of those in America. That's jobs. Frankly, we can make every single one of them in Michigan. So it's the only place where we disagree. Yes, it's the only place where we disagree as to whose state, you know. But the truth of the matter is, every time we talk about whether it's a medical device, whether it's an automobile, whether it's a solar panel, it's a wind turbine, it's a pharmaceutical drug, it involves making something. And that's what we are all about. Senator Coons talked about the incredible multiplier of manufacturing jobs, which is so important. I want to mention just three contributions to this agenda that I have put forward and have put forward now for some time. The first is the Make It in America tax credit, which was in the Recovery Act in 2009, which had a major effect. It is a 30% tax deduction for new equipment and buildings if you are manufacturing new clean energy products. That was so successful in 2009 when we put it in that we actually saw $7.7 billion in investments. There were 3 times as many great applications as there was money in the program. And so now the president has proposed, I have been proposing, colleagues are supporting raising the cap on the funding so we can again say, if you make it here, you will be able to take a 30% tax credit on your equipment and on your buildings as well. The second is my Bring Jobs Home Act, which we have voted on in the past. Democrats have stood strongly together saying, you know what, if you want to move overseas, you shouldn't be able to write off the cost of moving. We're not going to pay you, help you move your jobs overseas. But if you want to bring those jobs back, we'll not only let you write off the cost of bringing it back, we'll give you an extra tax cut on top of it. Bring Jobs Home Act stops rewarding jobs for going overseas and says we ought to bring them back. And then finally, my New Skills for New Jobs Act really partners with what so many colleagues here, Senator Franken was mentioned as being passionately involved in new skills development, other colleagues here as well. My New Skills for New Jobs Act builds on what community colleges in a number of states are doing to partner directly with businesses for the new jobs of the future. Jobs are being created, and there is something wrong when 600,000 jobs are available now, according to the National Association of Manufacturers, and we don't have the right skills and the right people to be able to put into those jobs. So that's a critical issue coming forward. Let me just finally say that I'm so pleased that all of the organizations supporting this effort, we have business and labor organizations and so many others as well, including the Alliance of of American Manufacturing, the National Association of Manufacturers, the AFL-CIO, Ford Motor Company, so many others as well. This is an important effort, and I would conclude by saying that Senator Lindsey Graham and I are committed to working with colleagues, to working with Senator Coons, all of our colleagues here, to develop a bipartisan effort here. The great ideas are here, and we are reaching out to Republican colleagues to be able to get something done, because in the end, that's what the American people want, and we, again, know that we will not have a middle class in this country unless we make things. We know how to make things, and this agenda is about making sure that we are moving that forward. I'm now very pleased to introduce Senator Mark Pryor, who has been a passionate advocate of both making things and growing things, and so pleased to have him as an integral part of this.
Thank you. Well, let me first start by just thanking the senator who deserves the lion's share of the credit for getting us here today, and that's Chris Coons. I think we all want to say thank you, Chris, for your leadership and your determination to pull all these bills together and try to work in a very bipartisan way, try to get things done. And you know, one of the things that we've talked about, and I know Chris mentioned it a few moments ago, is that there have been a lot of manufactured crises here in Washington. I mean, you know, it starts with the Farm Bill and, you know, many other things, obviously shutting down the government and the near default, et cetera, but this my way or the highway mentality in Washington is really bad for the country. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to come up with a series of bills, a set of legislation that all of us can rally around and focus on the one thing that we need to focus on. That's growing the economy, creating American jobs, and that's really what our focus needs to be. That solves so many other problems for the country by getting America back to work again and going really strong on that. Debbie mentioned a few moments ago, there's been a resurgence in manufacturing. It's one of our core strengths in the U.S. economy. We need to build on that, need to accentuate the positive. There's more that we can do. And you know, one of the things Debbie and I talked about earlier this morning is the fact that there's an energy resurgence here, American domestic produced energy, that's also part of this. So there's so many pieces of this that are all coming together right now. And if we can work in a bipartisan way to try to find legislation, try to find things that we can all support. I have a number of bills, I think it's 5 or 6 or 7, I'm not sure quite how many. But on all these, I've been trying to work in a bipartisan way to get this done. And the reason I want to do that is if you just look at my state, Arkansas is actually a fairly significant manufacturer. I don't think we have that reputation like a Michigan or some of these other places. But, you know, in our state alone, we have 158,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs. 158,000 jobs is 2,800 businesses, and it's $5 billion of exports that come out of Arkansas, manufactured exports that come out of Arkansas and go overseas. And, you know, those numbers are similar, just a lot bigger on the federal level, the national level. So if we can refocus our efforts on manufacturing, I think that we can make a lot of improvement in the U.S. economy. And you know, some of the things we want to do is strengthen the U.S. manufacturing sector. We want to level the playing field for American companies, and we want to enhance trade opportunities for American goods and services. So, you know, the lesson, I think, hopefully one of the lessons we learned, I hope we learned about 10 days ago, is if we work together around here, we can get a lot of good things done. And if we don't work together, what happens is, you know, we're on a dead end. So if we can work together on this package, we can get great things done for the country and everybody will benefit for it. So thank you all for being here today. And I want to introduce Jean Shaheen, who's also been a major player in this. Jean, come on up here and say a word.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be able to join my colleagues here this morning and thank Chris Coons for his leadership in putting together this effort. You know, there's been so much discussion about how do we address the debt and deficits in this country. Well, the best way to do it is to grow the economy. We need a refocus on jobs, and one of the places where we know there is the most benefit in terms of giving people the ability to really make a living from their jobs is in the manufacturing sector. So we need to put in place policies that support and grow the manufacturing sector. I have 3 bills that I'm working on. They're all bipartisan. The first also deals with job skills, because as Senator Stabenow said, we know we have jobs that are open, but we don't have the people who can do those jobs. And so what this bill would do is to encourage employers to go ahead and hire people and train them on the job. The second bill deals with exports. We know that 95% of markets are outside of the United States, but only 1% of small and medium-sized businesses are doing international trade. So we need to help them get into those export markets. That's what this small business bill would do. The third deals with access to credit. It's called the CREAD Act. And again, they're all bipartisan. We know that if businesses are going to grow, they need access to credit. So all of the legislation that people are here to talk about today would help us as we think about how do we grow the economy, how do we make sure we can continue to recover from the recession that we were in, and make sure that people have good jobs, jobs they can support a family on, and give them opportunities in the future. That's what this agenda is about. Thank you. I am pleased to turn over the mic to Senator Al Franken, who has also done a great job in talking about manufacturing. Al.
Thanks, Jean. Thank you, Chris, for your leadership on this. I'm going to just build on some of the things that we've already talked about. I have one discrete bill that this is very exciting. Think about this. We're here talking about creating jobs and creating prosperity in this country. We've talked about manufacturing coming back to the United States. It's coming back to the United States for a couple of reasons. One of which is that manufacturing these days has become more and more capital intensive because of technology. So a smaller piece of manufacturing is labor, but a larger piece of that labor pie is high skills. And we've talked about the skills gap here. In Minnesota, between a third and a half of the manufacturers in our state are want to hire a worker, want to hire someone, but they don't have the skills. That's what's called the skills gap. You'll hear that referred to a lot today, the skills gap. It's estimated that there are over 3 million jobs in this country waiting to be filled. It's not just in manufacturing, it's in IT, it's in healthcare. But in manufacturing, there between a third and a half of the manufacturers in Minnesota can't fill the jobs that they have. But I have seen these partnerships between community and technical colleges and businesses. And this is what I am so excited about, because I have seen them at South Central College in Mankato. I have seen this at Hennepin Technical College in Hennepin County. I have seen this in Alexandria, Minnesota. I've seen it in Bemidji, Minnesota. I have seen it around my state, and it works. But when I go around to these partnerships between businesses and community and technical colleges, they say in some cases we can do this better, we can do it faster, we can do more of it if we had maybe a machine that we really need, a high technical machine, or if we had a professor with a certain skill. So what I want to do is incentivize these partnerships between businesses and community and technical colleges with a competitive grant program. And what the business and the community and technical college have to show is that they've got skin in the game, both the college and the businesses, and how many people they'll hire and what kind of jobs they'll have, and that's how they'll compete on who brings more bang for the buck and who can help fill these over 3 million jobs that we have waiting to be filled. This is really exciting. And I can see it in the faces of the press. You're jazzed. This is something to write about, finally, about moving our country ahead, about building prosperity. That's what this is about. That's what we are so excited about this after what we've been through. And we want this to be bipartisan. I am going to a dinner today with the German ambassador to talk about this, and Dan Coates invited me from Indiana, because the Germans do workforce development in a great way. Enough of me. I want to introduce Jeff Merkley. Jeff is one of the most thoughtful, brilliant legislators that we have in this body, and he's someone who always is pushing ahead and did a great job when he was Speaker of the House in Oregon, and he is a leader who you need to hear from right now.
I think Al used up all my time on the introduction. Thank you, Al, and thank you so much, Chris, for organizing this gathering. There are no better or more beautiful words when we talk about the national economy than made in America. When a product is assembled in the United States of America, it puts people to work. When the components that go into that assembly are made here and the supply chain is in the United States, all types of subcontractors are involved. And so much in the manufacturing field, we are talking living wage jobs. There is no substitute for a family, no program of any kind that can equal the value of a living wage job. And that's why we're here talking about manufacturing. And we recognize that manufacturing is changing. Advanced technology is coming into play. And so that does change the character, but even so, we can add jobs in this field and they will help build the middle class. We will not have a middle class in America if we do not make things in America. There are two bills that I've added to this package. One of them follows up on the points that Senator Franklin was just making about the training that's necessary. I have launched a Made in Oregon manufacturing tour, and I've probably visited 50 manufacturers across my state, from insulated doors and windows in Klamath Falls to the production of chainsaw blades in Metro Portland. And at every stop, people talk about the fact that there is a shortage of folks who know how to work with their hands, know the manufacturing process, want to get involved, and they point to the community colleges, as Senator Franken has highlighted, but they also point to the fact that we need to introduce our high school students through shop classes. We call them CTE, or Career Technical Education now, but we need to introduce them earlier, in middle school, in high school, to the joy of making things. And then that ethic becomes a foundation for proceeding to fill these jobs that need to be filled across America. So the BUILD Act is focused on that exercise of how do you create those skills that we've lost a lot of in middle school and high school. And the second bill I've added to this package is about energy efficiency. It's about energy efficiency in the manufacturing process. There are a tremendous number of things that can be done to enhance the energy efficiency, and every kilowatt saved or every gallon of fuel saved makes for more profit. And so whether it's variable speed motors on one end or putting heat to good use that's currently waste heat on the other end, there's a tremendous amount of investment that can occur to help not only produce more efficient manufacturing process and therefore more competitive manufacturing process, but it's also certainly good energy and environmental policy as well. So I am very pleased to be part of this group putting these ideas forward. And we have so many folks who have contributed great ideas, and one of those is Senator Jack Reed from Rhode Island. We're pleased to have you here, Jack, and thank you for being part of this effort.
Thanks very much. Let me begin by commending Senator Coons for his great leadership and all my colleagues who are addressing one of those critical issues that we face in this country. The best way to move the economy forward is very simple: put people back to work and give them work that is not only meaningful but rewarding. And if we do that, then we'll grow the economy and we'll deal with a lot of the issues that we're facing that are not just strictly economic issues. The issues of inequality, there are issues of giving people a sense of hope and opportunity. And the legislation that Chris has pulled together is multi-pronged because it recognizes there is many ways that we have to deal with this issue. One of the things that we have to do, and it's been alluded to by all my colleagues, is to align training and education with the jobs that are out there and the jobs that will be out there in the future. And that calls on all of our resources, community colleges, adult education. I have introduced legislation, which I, part of this package, the Adult Education and Economic Growth Act, which I hope will create and support the ability of adults to continue their education, to retrain, to re-equip themselves for the skills of the future. I think we collectively sort of convinced ourselves about a decade or so ago that manufacturing was passé. It wasn't mechanical engineering that was important, it was financial engineering. We've learned a big lesson. We have to put people back on the shop floor because it's not only the ability of the United States to create and innovate, unless you're actually manufacturing these products, you don't have the advantages of learning how to do it better, how to improve it, how to be more competitive. Think of all the things, the manufacturing products we've invented, but then we've lost the ability to produce them, and we've lost the jobs. So this whole effort is designed to rekindle that spirit of giving people the skills and the incentives and the encouragement to go back and manufacture. And again, the sweetest phrase we've heard is made in America. So let's make it in America. And let me call upon Chris Murphy now, my colleague from Connecticut, I believe, or Debbie's, or, oh, I'm sorry. Tammy Baldwin, who is doing a superb job from Wisconsin. Tammy.
Thank you. I'm actually really excited to get to join my colleagues today to launch the Manufacturing Jobs for America effort. Now is the time. In Wisconsin, we have a long and proud tradition of making things. We make paper, engines, tools, ships, and yes, I know you're thinking beer, brats, and cheese also. My state has one of the largest manufacturing sectors in the nation, supporting a large share of our state's workforce and exporting goods all over America and, frankly, all over the world. Wisconsin families depend on manufacturing jobs, and I believe that if we work to give our workers a fair shot, we can compete against anyone. But lately, as you've all observed, Congress has been wasting way too much time fighting partisan battles. Our Manufacturing Jobs for America effort is a positive step forward to, I think, change that dynamic here in Washington, D.C. The middle-class families, small businesses, and manufacturers that are working so hard to move our economic recovery forward deserve to have both parties in Washington working together to create jobs and grow our economy. The American people are sick and tired of the division that have led us to drift from one manufactured crisis to another. This effort will help us refocus. It will help us focus on working across party lines, finding common ground, and strengthening our manufacturing sector, making us more competitive as a nation and helping create an economy built to last. One thing that both parties should be able to agree on is the need to create economic growth by investing in workforce readiness and advanced manufacturing innovation. In my home state, we have a made in Wisconsin tradition and work ethic and history and tradition of entrepreneurship that deserve to be supported and strengthened. So I'm proud to join the Manufacturing Jobs for America effort with my colleagues here today so that we can strengthen our Made in America tradition. And I think I'm the final speaker, but we're now going to open up for questions, and you're going to hear from some of my other colleagues. Questions?
Thank you, Senator Baldwin. And you may have noticed just the range of senators who've been with us who've spoken today, from those who are new to the Senate but are not new to manufacturing, who've either run a manufacturing company like Senator Donnelly, have been active and the Make It in America initiative in the House, like Senator Baldwin, folks who represent states with a deep tradition and background in manufacturing, others who are seasoned and senior senators, Senator Reid, Senator Stabenow, who've been engaged in this for a long time. So I'm very pleased with the number of senators who've joined us this morning, but we wanted, in the interest of time, to move to questions, and we'll ask those who haven't had a chance to speak so far to take some of the questions. Who's got questions for us, please?
Yes, I've covered similar events here. I covered the kind of the introduction to the Competes Act, where we're going to double funding for the physical sciences in 5 years. Well, that's now 7. Now it's actually 25 years or 24 years. I'm wondering about the follow-up, because we have these nice press conferences, everyone says great things about these things, but then it just fizzles out. So I would like in 6 months or a year to report that we actually have this big package together and it's passed both houses of Congress and signed by the president. What are the chances of that happening? Realistically, what are the chances?
Let me invite two of my colleagues to speak to that, but let me just start by saying this isn't a big single package that will be turned into one sort of mega bill. The hope here is to put out a whole menu of ideas that across a whole range of different areas can contribute to growing manufacturing jobs. And my expectation is literally in the days and weeks ahead, you'll see floor speeches, colloquies, and